In the last video, we connected our Google Sheet to Google Data Studio, and now we're ready to start building out our dashboard. So what do we actually go build? So I've already created just an example of what's possible, and we'll recreate this dashboard in this video. So let me just quickly kind of walk you through what's here. On the right side, we've got various filters, and you're going to notice the way that Align.ly attribution data is constructed and the way it's built out in Salesforce is you have a lot of flexibility on what you can do with your data. So we can look at things like filter by dates, so our engagement date. We can filter by fields on the actual campaign object. We can filter by UTM parameters, fields on our account. And this is also integrating with Align.ly lead to account matching on the opportunity and then also on the contact. So a lot of flexibility on what we can filter, drill down, and really get into those second and third level questions on our data. Then in the actual screen here, we've got just a few different visualizations. So we've got sourced attribution. And just so you know, this whole dashboard is just focused on sourced attribution, which is going to be all your touch points leading up to opportunity creation. If you're familiar with Align.ly attribution, you probably know that we also support accelerated attribution, which is basically all touch points that happen after opportunity creation all the way through to close. But just wanted to note that this dashboard here is focused on sourced attribution. So we've got by engagement date, so understanding our various models. So we got our first touch, our last touch, our equal weight, our time decay, and our U-shaped models. So we can look at by month, how are we influencing pipeline and eventually revenue? We can look at it by campaign name, by campaign type, by actual UTM medium, source. As you can see right here, just by looking at this chart, AdWords is doing really well. Term, so we can actually look at what keyword or keywords are driving traffic in pipeline and revenue. And then we can look at what actual ad creative using UTM content is performing best. So again, just an example of what's possible. You can take this as far as you want to go. So first thing we're going to do is let's jump into here. We'll just remove, this was added by default when we connected our data source. So let's just remove that. And then one thing I like to do is I like to go to View, Grid Size, and I like to change it to 24. What that does is it makes the the grids a little bit bigger, so 24 pixels. Makes it a little easier to align things and get things to snap. The other thing I like to do is if I go to Snap To, you're going to see there's Smart Guides and then there's Grid. And since I made the grid bigger, I like to just snap it to the grid. So that's the first step. So then let's start building this out. So I'm going to hit edit here so I can see kind of what I did. If I just click on here, you can notice that this is just 32 pixels and it's just covering 2 grids. So if I go here, I can say text and we'll just do this. We can snap this up one. We can make this 32 pixels. Roberto's good. My font color, I actually have a custom font for Align.ly. It's 468 DCB. Keep it on brand. And then I can just type attribution. Make that bold. And I actually want to bring it over 1. So that all looks good. Now I have another just text here. So I drop down 1. This is going to be sourced attribution by engagement date. So let's do another text box. Drop this here. And that was 20 pixels. And I believe there is no top padding. So that looks good. Now I can go ahead and just add this chart here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to Insert, and it's going to be a bar chart. And I'll just drop this in right here. I'm going to drag it over to keep some room for my filters here. So now I have this dropped in. You're going to notice that nothing really makes sense right now. But what you're going to notice is I've got my date range is set to Align.ly engagement date. My dimension, I'm going to want to make Align.ly engagement date. So now it's starting to look right. You're going to notice it's by record count, and that's because we don't have any breakdown dimensions. So what I want to do here, that's because I don't have any metrics. What I want to do here is I want to add my individual metrics. So I've got first touch, I've got last touch, my equal weight model, my U-shaped, and then time decay. And I just want to remove this record count. So now it's looking a little bit better. We're going to notice that right now it's not grouped by month, it's grouped by individual days. So what I do is click on the dimension. I want to hit edit here. And for granularity, I want to select year and month. So now I've got it sorted or grouped properly, but the sort is still off. So let's scroll down here. And for the sort order, right now it's by first touch sourced. I want to make that engagement date. Didn't like that. Let's try that again. Let's click this. I think I can do it here. Why won't it let me sort by engagement date? Let's try. Oh, so I got to select. I forgot that we grouped it by engagement date is now year month, so we want to select that. That's what I was looking for. And then right now the default is descending, but we want to make it ascending. So now we've got January 2020, February, March, April, May, June. So all looks good. And a couple other things we want to just clean up here. If you look up top here, this is the API name of the field. But we can clean these up. So let's just hit edit, and we'll call this first touch. Last touch. Equal weight. U-shaped. And then time decay. So that's looking pretty good now. So if I go back over here, it's looking pretty close. Looks like I might have it extended out one more block. Let's just move that over. Now if I toggle between the two, we're looking pretty good. So let's now add our filters in. So if I come over here, you're going to notice how I have it set up. So let's just see if we can recreate this. So let's do engagement date. So I'm going to add text. Drop that in here. Engagement date. What I'm going to do is just do no top padding. Actually, let me see what I did over here. I've got 4 pixels on the top, and it's 14, so let's do that. 4 pixels, it's 14, and then it's bold. That looks good. And then I've got a date range selector. So for date range selectors, we want to just go up here. We want to click on the calendar, and then we can just drop this in. We'll do something like this. That looks good. So then we got, let's just duplicate this, keep things simple. This is going to be attribution. And then we've got attribution type. So for that, what we want to do is we want to click filter control. And we want to go ahead and just drop that in there. And a couple of things here. So for the date range, this is automatically going to filter this because we've got our date range dimension selected here and it's engagement date. So we don't need to do anything with this. This is just going to work out of the box, which is great. For attribution, the field that we have here is attribution type. So what we want to come over here and do is grab attribution type. We want to drag that in. And the next thing we want to do is we want to rename this. So we can just call it attribution type. And if I come over here and I select this, you're going to notice there's no metric here. It's just attribution type. So what we can do is we can just remove this. And that should be in good shape. So that should work now. That should filter this data. If we come over here, we should see sourced accelerated, which is great. Okay, so now we've got attribution type. Let's just check that out one more time. So that's looking good. And I should be able to filter. Makes sense that there's nothing accelerated here. So that's all looking good, null. This is because this chart here is all sourced. So that's all looking good. We should be able to also filter by date range here. So if we just say this quarter to date, that should change. So that's all looking good. So let's go back and hit edit. And so we got two fields here for a campaign. Control C, Control V. I'm just going to say campaign. Control C, Control V. Control V. And in this case, this one's going to be campaign name. And we'll drag that right into the dimension. And then this one's going to be, this one's going to be campaign type. And we shouldn't have to do anything else there. So if I just hit view, I should see all my campaign names. I should see all my campaign types. I should be able to filter on this. So that's looking good. So I think you kind of get the idea. The rest of these filters are going to be built out the exact same way. So what I'm going to do is pause the video, build out the rest of this, and then I'll come back to it. Okay, so I've gone ahead and added the filters. You're going to see that this now resembles here. Maybe some minor differences, but overall pretty good. So now what I'm going to do is build out the rest of these charts, which is going to be pretty straightforward. So we want to do sourced attribution by campaign name. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 more that we want to add. So one thing we want to do is if I just go to the layout, I want to make sure that the height of this is much wider or much higher. So I'm going to make this, just make it 2400 pixels. I'm not sure if that's big enough. Should be pretty close. And then what we're doing is we're just going to copy this. Control C, Control V, so I can paste it. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then 1 more. 6. So now we got all our charts. Now we can actually build out the content in them. So let's just rename them all. So campaign name, campaign type, campaign name, campaign type. I think we just have our UTMs. So UTM medium, UTM source, UTM term, and then UTM content. And now what I want to do is just change the groupings on these. So I'm going to click on here, got my campaign name. So instead of the dimension being year, month, I want it to be campaign name. Let's just drop that in. We should see it update. We can also change the sort order, but actually it automatically updated the campaign name and it made it ascending. So that actually looks pretty good. Let's do the same thing for campaign type. That looks good. Actually, we can make that sort order weird. It looks like, for whatever reason, the sort order, the little e is not being alphabetical. That's kind of interesting. Now if we do medium, so UTM medium, that looks good. Source. That looks good. We'll come back to that. Term. That looks good. And then content. And what you're going to notice on some of these, so especially your UTM parameters, you might not always collect a UTM. But like if you look here, you're going to notice this is a null value. This is a null value. So what you can do here is you can add a filter. So I'll just show you one quick example of how to do this. I'm going to click into the chart. I'm going to come down here and just click add a filter. So I'm on source. So I'm going to say UTM source is null. Actually, let's call this UTM source is known. And then we're just going to exclude anything where UTM source is null. You're going to see that removed the null values. So let's just do the exact same thing across all these. Let's add a filter. You'll see that it does save your filters so you can reuse them. But let's do UTM medium is known. We're going to exclude UTM medium is null. What did I do? I did the wrong. I just apply the wrong filter. Yeah, so I did it on medium. I should have done it here. So this should actually be medium. So let's just add the filter medium. This was actually term. And I applied the wrong filter, so let's just remove that. Create a filter. UTM term is known. Exclude. Quick search on term is null. And then UTM content. So we'll do add a filter. UTM content is known. All right, so we got all of our filters now to filter out any null values on our UTM charts. So now we're looking really good. So now what I can do is just hit view, and this should actually now be done. So what I can do is I can do things like, say, what do things look like last quarter? And you're going to notice that our engagement date filters down to just last quarter. Everything else filtered down as well. I can say, what did we do last quarter in terms of webinars? And you're going to see which webinar we did. Again, everything is filtered down, so that all looks like it's working really well. So that's it. Really simple example of how to do a really sophisticated multi-touch attribution, drill down with multiple filters. But overall, it's really straightforward and really quick and pretty simple overall to implement. So feel free to reach out if you have questions on this one. We'll do separate videos where we'll do similar types of dashboards, but with different spins on what we can do. So let me know if you have feedback, questions, if there's anything else you'd like to see. More than happy to help out. Thanks for watching.